Good morning. Okay, I'm a little out of breath after that, and I have to commend you all for being a little braver on that upbeat today than our earlier first service. We weren't sure. We weren't sure. So thank you for Renee. I heard you. You have rhythm. And we followed your lead. Oh, let me get a good look at you, and good morning to you all online, and Reverend Gary. We're hoping that you have a speedy recovery, and I'm grateful to be here with you today. I am your pinch hitter when you get a phone call that says, I'm in pain and need some help. You say yes. So I was trying to get my thoughts together on what in the world am I going to talk about with very little notice and very little time to prepare. And my wife said, get with the program, Margaret. You have a sign in our foyer. It's a laser-cut, enamel-dipped quote by Joan of Arc that says, I am not afraid. I was made for this. So I'm talking about fear at its finest. And we have two distinctly different types of fear. I mean, there are all kinds of rainbows, Skittles in that rainbow of fruit flavors. But really what fear boils down to is productive fear or non-productive fear. By non-productive fear, I don't mean to say that it doesn't have value, but it's the type of fear that is hardwired in the amygdala, down here, our downstairs brain, our reptilian brain. It's the fight, flight, or freeze. Would you agree that it does have value? It has saved my life 1,000 times, kept me from touching a hot stove or chasing the boogeyman down a dark alley into the bushes where I have absolutely no business. It keeps us from stepping out into traffic or encountering a bear and feeling like we should shake hands. Run. So thank you, fear. The productive fear are those things that are within us that stretch us beyond the capacity of our own self-perceived limitations. I'll let that sink in for a second. Fear also has the capacity to stretch us beyond our own self-perceived limitations. So yesterday I was just minding my business. It's my wife's birthday weekend, and we were having brunch and getting haircuts and just about to finish a conversation about how we have absolutely nothing else left to do today. So we have anything we want to do ahead of us. And the phone rang, and I see Rev Gary. So it's my new boss, and I was like, hello, sir. And he sounded horrible. He said, I have pulled a muscle in my back, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a muscle relaxer. I'm going to go home. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to come to the church and try and see if I can just get through my talk. And I'll let you know how that goes and give you the green light or the red light. And about 4 minutes later, he calls and says, you got the green light, I can't do this. And in that moment, I totally switched gears from having nothing at all to do, thank you, God, to having to change and think about what would be of value to share with you all today. And I got into that vacillating swing between, this is exactly what I was made to do. I totally got this. I was made for this. Keep calm, everybody. To, oh my God, what did I just get myself into? I have nothing prepared. I don't have anything in the can. I can't just whip this out. It was between, OMG, this is a wonderful opportunity, and I'm terrified, and WTF, where's the faith? that my Father has given me, and I carry that around in my pocket, because I say WTF a lot. So what I recognized that was happening was that I was having a conditioned response. I was having a conditioned response that looks like, sounds like, and is called fear. It was not my 42-year-old self that has got everything under control and is going to instill the faith and see the truth of who and what all of you are, and that you're not going to boo me off stage if I bomb today with 12 hours of preparation. It is my 8-year-old self that is scared of failing. It's my 15-year-old self that was laughed at when reading out loud, because when I was growing up, I was diagnosed with ADD. They called it a learning disability because they didn't know what else to call it. My brain worked faster, and all that was going on in the classroom was just too slow. So I was fidgety all the time and bored. And you layer that on top of dyslexia. Reading out loud was a very terrifying moment for me, and I would avoid it at all costs. So when I thought, I'm going to talk about fear at its finest, I knew immediately that I was going to talk about how the companionship of fear comes along with the creative process, and that I would read from a book. And my fear center lit up and was trying to take hold of making all of my decisions for me. The thing is that fear cannot be avoided. I think we mistake that in unity sometimes. We deny the existence of fear. It doesn't have any hold over me. That's not exactly true. We are hardwired in our human existence to experience fear. So we also have this third principle that says that our thoughts create our experience. So on top of experiencing fear and trying to deny that we have fear, or that it is taking a chokehold around my neck at the idea that I could bomb today or do something that was beyond my reach just a minute ago, we then chastise ourselves a little bit and maybe label ourselves as a metaphysical malpractitioner for holding thoughts of fear in mind, right? Because I was not having a good time. I was trying to get my thoughts down, and where's that book, and what am I going to say? It was not pleasant, I promise you. And this morning when I was rerunning through it, and I'm affirming, God, you're moving through me, and I'm a hollow reed, and I know I just need to get out of the way. And while I was doing this, I was looking for my chamois to wipe my hands off from the sweat that was pouring off, because I was terrified. So was I creating my experience? Is there anything I could really do about it except own the experience and honor this part of me that was expressing and, in its finest, asking me to do better, to reach further? I'm going to tell you a story. Last time I was here, first service went great. I had a perfectly scripted talk. It was all in order in my little folder. And it didn't feel great, because I don't want to be the type of minister that is scripted and rehearsed. I want to be about authenticity and connection and show up vulnerably for the people who get up and come to church or show up online. But somehow that kind of gets beat out of us in seminary school. We take a series of homiletics classes. Homiletics, you ask? The art of preaching. And they tell us how to organize a talk, how to stand. This is a power pose, by the way. How to stand, when to pause, when to speak really, really fast, and when to slow way down. But it gets drilled into us, don't get lost in your talk. So the kid that was afraid of being chastised let fear take over to scripted sermons, well rehearsed. True enough, really my experience, but not what was active and free-flowing and evidence of my faith in trusting God to be on display for all of you today. So when I got up for the second service, after I'd carefully looked through my numbered pages and confirmed they were in order 1 through 10, front to back, I started to give my talk. And I flipped page number 2. And do not tell me God doesn't have a sense of humor, because right in front of me, upside down, was page number 8. I cannot make this up. I could have stopped in that moment and said, oops, just give me a second to collect myself and rearrange this. But it was, you can do this. I know what I know, and I'm going to trust myself, and more importantly, I'm going to trust God and trust you that the way the rest of this from page 3 to 10 comes out will be exactly what needs to be said. So, when I'm discerning between the two different types of fear, I try and remember that fear is always, either one, along for the ride, that I am in the process of creating my next best version of myself. Aren't you all? From one breath to the very next, you are not the exact person you were a second ago. Isn't that crazy? So when I said I was going to do and I wanted to be, I was setting an intention for myself that I would be off notes. I got 2 pages just so I don't go off in the bushes and keep you guys from lunch on time. But it's not scripted. And I'm going to walk out of here and have no idea what I actually said. A little terrifying there. So I wanted to turn to Elizabeth Gilbert in the book Big Magic. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love, and I became a huge fan years and years ago. But this is a hysterical book filled with truths about fear in the creative process. So if we were constantly evolving, we are constantly in the process of creating our next new version of ourselves, then we are constantly in company of fear. So I'm going to read this to you because I don't think I could say it any better in exactly how she interprets fear along for the ride. Elizabeth says, "Dear fear, creativity and I are about to go on a road trip together. I understand you're going to be joining us because you always do. I acknowledge that you believe you have a very important job in my life and you take your job seriously. Apparently, your job is to induce fear at the time that I am just about to do anything interesting in my life. And if I do say so myself, you are superb at your job. So by all means, keep doing your job if you feel you must. But I will also be doing my job on this trip, which is to work hard and stay focused. And creativity will be doing its job, which is to remain stimulating and inspiring. There's plenty of room in this vehicle for all of us. So make yourself at home. But understand this, creativity and I are the only ones who will be making any decisions along the way. I recognize and respect that you are a part of this family, and so we will never exclude you from our activities, but still your suggestions will never be followed. You're allowed to have a seat. You're allowed to have a voice, but you are not allowed to have a vote. You are not allowed to touch roadmaps. You are not allowed to suggest detours. You are not allowed to fiddle with the temperature. Dude, you are not even allowed to touch the radio. But above all else, my dear, old, familiar friend, you are absolutely forbidden to drive. Then we head off, me and creativity and fear side by side, forever advancing once more into the terrifying but marvelous terrain of the unknown. How about that? What she says somewhere else, and I wish I could take credit, was that fear feeds on the terrifying unknown. So when I read this from Big Magic, I actually heard it first in a sermon series by Reverend Ogun Holder, who has a church way up north. He's from Barbados originally. This shifted my perspective about fear. And it gave me the permission to allow acceptance as fear being my companion. But I still grapple with it. I still needed a ShamWow to wipe my hands this morning. I sure did go circling around my tail until about 11 o'clock last night, not quite sure that this was going to come together properly. I know the emotions, though. I know that energetic footprint. It's an old friend. So I don't feel or have the need to deny its power over me. But I know that fear at its finest is pushing me. Fear in that amygdala, the downstairs brain, is telling me I need to live small. I can't get out there. I can't stretch my wings. I can't dream big. I can't do that. But I can when I recognize that it's a motivating factor, a faculty within my being. I want to read the revealing word. Charles Fillmore, Unity co-founder, defines fear as this. Fear is one of the most subtle and destructive errors that the carnal mind and man experiences. Fear is a paralyzer of mental action. It weakens both mind and body. Fear throws dust in our eyes and hides the mighty spiritual forces that are always with us. Blessed are those who deny ignorance and fear and affirm the presence and the power of Spirit. And we are still human. And we are still human. So, to kind of bring this home, I want to tell you a story about our dog Huxley. She is a 2-year-old, 100-pound Great Dane, pure blue. And Scooby-Doo, yes, goofy, wild, and playful, and does the whoop, 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 whoop on our hardwood floors coming around the corner. It's awesome. Besides how big her heart is, she came with a superpower. Huxley has this uncanny ability to make a level 1 situation mandated a level 10 response to it. So let me tell you, the first time that we recognized how she could do this was, innocently enough, we'd come back from HEB. And we're putting away a few groceries and determining what needed to go upstairs and stay downstairs. And silly me, I thought I'm just going to innocently enough put this bag on this doorknob that's right next to the stairs for the things to go upstairs. Well, she was outside. And when we came back, we let them in, the dogs came inside. It was, hi, I'm so happy to be inside. And then she barreled around the corner and saw that bag, and it was like, And 100 pounds of panic came out by way of her bark. I'm not going to do it. I would hurt Owen's ears, but it is a hearty bark that sounds like, alert, alert, alert. There's a bag here. There's something here. I don't know what it is. It doesn't belong. It wasn't here a minute ago, and it's in my environment that wasn't here, and it's going to get us. It's going to get us. It's going to kill you. It's going to eat me. I don't know about it. And we heard this panic vocalized in our baby. So we come around the corner like, what the heck is going on here? And it's a bag. But we didn't yell at her. How dare you? Shh, stop that. Don't you be afraid of this bag. It's just a bag. Are you dumb? Jesus. No, it was, you're afraid of this. So let me show you it's safe to pick this up. Mom picks up bag. And then the whole starts. The investigative process that informs her that this is, though unknown a moment ago, is okay in this environment. So, how many of us have things come up in life that we are asked to do? We get a new boss. We need to move. Someone falls ill. We lose a job. Things that trigger fear, these unknown, unfamiliar, unpleasant experiences, and we drop, whoop, right into our downstairs brain, don't we? We go right here. How do I get out of it? Do I need to run from it? Can I kick it to death? And how do I overcome it? Right? But what if that is moving us to a better job? What if that is creating new space? So where Huxley was afraid of a plastic bag, she was actually holding in a container in her being fear. And once we dispelled that, the fear dissipated, but the container remained. Now her world got bigger. That same exact thing happens for us, where there is a place in us for fear to exit, something else can be filled. Our understanding can be filled. Our love grows. Our connections grow. Right? Yeah? So why can we be sweet to a dog and not to ourselves? Tell me I'm not up here by myself thinking I'm the only one who goes around kicking my own tail for allowing fear to sometimes take hold. Charles Fillmore also says that the way to dispel fear is through pure love. So we have the capacity to love an animal who is afraid. We scoop them up. I don't scoop up 100 pounds. She tries, but we scoop them up. We tell our friends it's okay. We hold the space knowing the truth that divine love and divine order is unfolding for us perfectly in every single moment. So in this coming week, I invite you to think about where you've got fear. What's riding along in your sidecar, holding the map, suggesting detours, and making decisions on your behalf? Because if we can identify them, then we can incorporate them. We can befriend them and love them as a part of us and not get blindsided and not get caught up in the shouldas. Because the truth is that we do know better. When we're connected, when we are that same reed to allow God's good work to flow through us, then we can remember from that which we came. we are not afraid because we were born for this. So we're going to take these thoughts into meditation.
Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Let us take a deep breath from this place of comfort and ease and settle in, feeling the full support, the weight of your body. Let us take a deep breath. And as you inhale and exhale, let's look for a body scan. Have that magic seeing eye from the top of our head. Recognize if you've got some tension behind your eyes, sore throat, maybe some tightness in your diaphragm or your belly or your low back. Just keep breathing. Keep scanning because it's there. This is the energetic footprint that fear holds in our physical existence. And I invite you, when you find that spot in your body, to imagine that you are dipping your hands into cool water around the bubble that is fear, and hold that tenderly in your hands, not removing it from your existence, but nurturing it. Just pulling it out away from your core being far enough to look down at it and recognize that this energy, this ball of being, is within us, saving us, or asking to imagine possibilities of something greater than what we are experiencing in any given moment. So look at fear. Look at fear in the eye, as they say. I see you, and I honor and respect your position in my life and in my existence. And as we go into this silence, I invite you to recognize this integration and acceptance and knowing that fear is there and will tag along in all of our creations. Now, what does limitlessness look like? Unlimited possibilities. That is the pure divine perfection of God, the Holy Spirit, in action as us. Where will you go? What will you become? What will you paint? Who will you meet? Let's hold this in the silence and allow potential to unfold. And on your next breath, recognize that you can breathe life into that potential. I see you, fear, and I'm gonna do it anyway. You can return fear to its rightful place, where it's resting in your body, in the sidecar, in your back pocket. And know the truth is that it's going to come along and help inform you, but ultimately our co-creative power rests with us and the divine. So I check fear, and I love it. Because it is a part of me and I it, and it is still good. And in the sacred space, in this community, we support one another in knowing the truth of our capabilities and the unlimited potential of God working through us. So when I cannot remember this for myself, I know you will hold this truth for me. And I will for you. So take a deep breath and maybe move your fingers and your toes and come back into this space aware that you are not alone. Divine order is at work and there is nothing wrong. All is well, and we are so grateful. And so we say thank you, God.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.